Hello to my lovely faefolk. I know so many of you have requested for me to go over how Princess Cadance and Shining Armor got together as a couple, so that's exactly what we're going over today. I have honestly been having so much fun diving into all of this My Little Pony lore, and it really means the world that you guys are liking what I'm putting out. And of course, always let me know anything else you'd like to see from me in the comments. In my first video about Princess Cadance, I did not have a wig on, but I was able to find this wig here. I combined this blonde wig with these two ponytails, and the ponytails are supposed to have like pink and purple in them together. I feel like it looks a bit more purple than any pink, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like this wig for Princess Cadance more, or do you like the wig that I used for her originally? Or do you have another idea of what I should do for her wig? But with that, let's get into Princess Cadance and Shining Armor's love story. First up is issue 11. The cover art for this comic is so cute. We see so many yearbook photos of ponies that we know and love in their high school days. There's Cadance and Shining Armor, of course, but then we also see Cheerly, Lyra, Soren, Minuet, Thunderlane, and even Moon Dancer. We open with the main six, Shining Armor and Princess Cadance, at the Tea Loves Tea Room, while Shining Armor complains about alfalfa sprouts in the food, while Cadance deviously notes that alfalfa sprouts won't kill him. And I just have to note here that Fluttershy is sipping her tea in the cutest way ever. Twilight thanks Shining Armor and Princess Cadance for inviting them all to spend the day together in Canterlot. And just another note here, look at Applejack eyeing down this minuscule cupcake. Anyways, Pinkie complains that the tea place could use some streamers, and starts complaining about the size of the cakes. She claims that you need to eat 42 of them to equal one normal piece of cake, which Rainbow Dash and Shining Armor back her up here, and honestly, I do too. Apparently, Cadance and Shining Armor are already heading back to the Crystal Empire next week, so they wanted to make sure that they got to see them all before they left. Fluttershy mentions how they just got here and they're having to leave so soon. Applejack brings up if they go back so soon, then they're going to miss the summer wrap-up and hoedown in Ponyville. Honestly, sign me up. I would love to go to a summer wrap-up and hoedown in Ponyville. Also, just to note, it's kind of like winter wrap-up, but summer wrap-up. But Shining Armor apologetically says that they'll have to miss it. They've got plans back in the Crystal Empire for their anniversary, with a party thrown by the Crystal Ponies, with probably tinier cakes, he adds. And of course, Pinkie Pie perks up at the mention of a party. Twilight goes on to say how, for their wedding anniversary, she has a present scheduled to be delivered to them in exactly 9 days, 4 hours, and 37 minutes, and checks if they'll be home, in very Twilight fashion. Shining Armor lets out a chuckle and says that they will. Birdie gushes over the fact about how wonderful it must be to be married to your very special sun pony, and Fluttershy perks up and asks how they met. Twilight interjects, claiming that it's because Cadance was her full sitter, but Shining Armor jumps in, claiming that the story has a bit more to it than that. Cadance agrees that there was quite a bit more to it and reveals that they went to the same school together. Rainbow Dash straight up says boring, and Fluttershy scolds her for it. Shining Armor reminiscingly looks off into the distance and says he remembers like it was a while ago. Back in their Canterlot Academy days, it's revealed that Shining Armor was friends with ponies that would be more considered nerds. Now, I can kind of see this, but I honestly feel like Shining Armor would fit more into the jock role, but not like the jerky jock, like the kind jock. But let me know in the comments what you think. We do see one of the actual jocks, though, trip one of Shining Armor's friends, causing them all to fall over into a pile all over each other, and then all the ponies around them start laughing. But Cadance comes over to save the day and help Shining Armor up. He describes her as being a vision, the most beautiful, kind, amazing pony he's ever seen. He didn't want to brag, but the first time they met, he was totally smooth, which we can see is obviously not true. But I honestly don't blame him. I don't know who would be able to keep their cool in front of Cadance the first time, let alone the 100th time. She asked if Shining Armor wanted any help with his books, but he's too flustered to answer. She asks him if he wants to see the nurse, and starts holding up one of her hooves, asking him how many she's holding up. Before he can even gather the courage to say anything though, the bell rings, and Cadance's friends call her over, telling her that they're going to be late if they don't hurry. So Cadance bids Shining Armor farewell, and runs off with them. When she leaves, Shining Armor declares, "I think she likes me," which his friends call him an idiot for later on. Before we continue though, let me give a brief overview about Shining Armor's friends. We have Gaffer, a unicorn with an orange coat and green mane, 8-Bit, a Pegasus with a gray coat and blue mane, and finally Poindexter, an earth pony with a cream coat and a brown mane. Note that Poindexter is also referred to as Gizmo and Gyro on other merchandise. After school, we see Shining Armor and his friends playing the pony version of Dungeons & Dragons, Ogres, and Oubliettes. But while Shining's friends are deeply invested in the game, his head is elsewhere. They try and get his attention, but his brain is not in this realm right now. Gaffer accuses him of having his head on tricolored hair and blue eyes, but Shining Armor corrects him, of course, saying that Cadance has purple eyes, just further proving Gaffer's point though. Shining Armor firmly states that he's made a decision though. He declares that he's going to make Cadance his very special sun pony, and he's going to ask her to the fall formal gala next week. Gaffer points out though that Cadance is not just a princess, but she's kind, smart, and beautiful, and she can go to the dance with whoever pony she would want. He tries to tell Shining Armor that he's a good guy, but there are some limitations when it comes to their social situation. However, Shining Armor stands his ground, asserting that they're meant for each other. He can feel it. 8-Bit chimes in that he may be aiming his expectations a bit high for a first girlfriend. We see the cutest little drawing of Cadance in Shining Armor while he declares that she's perfect, and they're going to live happily ever after together in a crystal castle. He can see it clearly. He has the vision, and I have the vision too. But his friends collectively sigh and ask him if he's really serious about this. Shining Armor wails out with his whole heart and vows,
"Upon the 12 houses of elvish ponies, you will woo the fair Cadance."
After his friends see how serious he is, they decide to help him out, while Shining Armor is staring of a cute little figure resembling Cadance from their game. He is locked into that figure until one of his friends bonks him on the head. They come together and declare that they're going to get Shining Armor his dream sun pony. They're back at school now, and Gaffer explains to Shining Armor that if he wants to win over Cadance, he's going to have to complete 3 trials. First, just starting with a filly step, all he has to do is talk to Cadance. Shining Armor is convinced that he can do it, but the second step is a bit more advanced. They need a grand gesture so Shining Armor can get noticed so he could be added to the ballot for Fall Formal King, as Cadance is definitely a shoo-in for Queen. Finally, Trial 3. Shining Armor wins the title of King and gets to dance with Cadance at the gala, and then he can ask her to be his very special sun pony. Shining Armor is just foaming at the mouth with this scenario playing in his mind. One of his friends prepared him something to help with the first part of the trial, which is a full sitting flyer that Cadance put up. Which, if you've seen my official Princess Cadance lore video diving into her complete backstory,
If you haven't, you could watch it after this one.
but you'll know that Princess Cadance was introduced to Twilight by Celestia. However, because of the wording where Shining Armor says Cadance is full sitting again, it seems like it could be a situation where Cadance stopped full sitting for a while, but is starting back up again. So from what I can tell, things still seem to be lining up okay. But anyways, this will give Shining Armor the ability to see Cadance outside of school if they can get her to watch Twilight. Later in the week, it's revealed that Twilight and Shining Armor's mom, Twilight Velvet, and dad, Nightlight, decided to book Princess Cadance to full sit Twilight so that they could go to Shining Armor's Flugelhorn recital. Twilight points out that Shining Armor's face gets all funny when he talks about Cadance. But with a knock at the door, Cadance arrives. Twilight Velvet greets her, and Cadance is overjoyed to see Twilight again. She notices Shining Armor and says, "Oh, hello, Shining Armor, right?" He is freaking out that she knows his name, but before he gets a chance to respond, his parents basically start petting him, squishing his cheeks, and talking about how they're going to his recital. His dad chimes in that he's so talented, and he's going to make some young pony very happy one day.
Which we all know is Cadance.
They then go on to tell Twilight that they'll be out a little bit late, because after the recital, Shining Armor is definitely going to want some ice cream, or he'll get all cranky wanky. Twilight reiterates, "Very cranky wanky," and Cadance giggles. Shining Armor has the most fear-stricken look on his face, but manages to squeak out a hello before galloping away, leaving a confused Cadance. The next day, Shining's friends ask him how last night went. He says that he rocked the Flugelhorn, but obviously that's not what they're talking about. He says that he did talk to Cadance, but we know that there was not much talking involved. They get right to work on the second part of the plan, though. His friends talk about how he's not that popular of a pony, which I just find so hard to believe, but it's revealed that ponies think he doesn't have much of a personality, so I don't know. Their plan is to try and make him the talk of the academy. The fall formal is the weekend after the big polo championship game. Note the jock that tripped them at the beginning of the comic is the captain of the polo team. Now, I didn't know what polo was at first, but I looked it up, and apparently it's a sport that you normally do on horseback, where you're basically playing hockey on a field riding a horse. So in this case, it's basically the ponies playing hockey on a field, which is cute. But anyways, before the game, there's a pep rally and a fall formal parade. So during the parade today, they're going to get Shining Armor in the spotlight on a float of their own design, but Shining Armor is a bit wary of this. The float is really cute though. It has signs all over it reading, "Shining Armor for King, 12 level Paladin, no absences his whole junior year, except one." And of course it's O&O themed. ogres, and oubliettes. His friends even say that they have costumes for all of them and even a musical number, but Shining Armor is not thrilled and thinks this is a horrible idea. Shining Armor spots Cadance in the crowd, but she's sitting with the polo captain named Buck Withers, once again the one from the beginning. Poindexter reveals to Shining Armor that Buck is planning to ask Cadance to the gala at the end of the polo game, so it's incredibly important that they get Shining Armor on Cadance's radar right away. Battle paint applied, Shining Armor declares that he is ready and starts singing his original rock ballad, which I will recreate now.
I love pretty pink mirrors. They make me feel so good. I love tricolor hair. It makes me feel so bad. When you're around, they make me feel like I'm the only cult in town. I love pretty pink mirrors. They make me feel so good.
Thank you, everypony. I also do weddings. Should I release a full song? Let me know down below.
Shining Armor is absolutely going at it, and his friends are putting in the work to make the show spectacular. Buck is incredibly shocked and confused, but we see Cadance literally tearing up and smiling over how sweet she thinks it is. Also, we even see that witnessing this performance is how DJ Pon 3 gets her cutie mark. She's standing on a pony named 33 and a third LP with a record-based cutie mark, and it's revealed by Andy Price, the artist of the comic, and Heather Brackle, the colorist. They view him as an older brother in relation to DJ Pon 3. When the performance is over, Cadance is still teared up, but is clapping now, and everypony else seems to be as well, except for Buck and his friends. They start shouting that Shining Armor and his friends are just a bunch of geeks, and start laughing at him. Then more and more ponies from the crowd do the same, following Buck's lead, even though it seemed like they enjoyed the performance at first. It's just so devastating. You can see how upset Shining Armor and his friends are. And to make matters worse, their whole float basically explodes. It's just so sad because it seemed like every pony except Buck and his friends really liked it at first. But once they started laughing at him, everyone joined in, calling them dorks, losers, nerds. Even Cadance's friends joined in. Cadance seemed to be the only one who wasn't piling on to the bullying. She eventually starts yelling at Buck when he calls Shining Armor pathetic. They leave with their heads hung, with Gaffer declaring that the mission for the third trial has changed. Shining Armor agrees that no pony is going to vote for him for the Fall Formal King now. Gaffer tries to hype Shining Armor up though, asking if he really wants Cadance. Shining declares that of course he does, more than anything. His new mission is to slay that dragon, aka Buck Withers. While they're strategizing their plan, they conclude that Buck's weakest point is losing. He absolutely has to win and be the star or he will lose his mind. Since he's about to lead the polo team to another Equestria championship, all Shining Armor and his friends have to do is make him the worst player, causing him to storm off the field. This should make him completely forget about asking Cadance to the dance after his game. So while Buck is away being upset, Shining Armor can jump in instead and ask Cadance to the gala. Shining Armor does bring up the question, could their shenanigans make the whole team lose? Because he doesn't want every pony to lose just because Buck is a bully. Which I would argue it seemed like there were a few other bullies on that team too. But his friends say that they won't interfere with any pony else on the team. They can win without Buck, and honestly some of them would probably love for them to take Buck down a peg. Shining really hopes that this plan works, and Gaffer reassures him that Cadance is smart and she'll be able to see through Buck and know that Shining Armor is the better choice. Then we see Shining Armor with the cute little O&O figures from earlier again. This time he has the figure that resembles Cadance with one that resembles him, and he's practicing how he's going to ask her to the gala.
Cadance, my love, will you do me the honor of going to the fall formal with me?
Why, yes, darling. I love you.
Gaffer scolds him to put down the dolls, let's go. But Shining Armor corrects him that they are in fact action figures. Which y'all, I know this is just a little joke, but I want to interject that literally anyone can play with and love dolls. And anyone can like My Little Pony too, and they shouldn't be ashamed for it. If I can help even one person embrace their interests and feel more confident in what they love through my videos, then that will make me the happiest pony in the world. But back to the story, we cut to the polo game on the field with Buck and his team. Shining Armor and his friends are dressed up in their spy gear, ready for mission, Slay the Dragon. Their first attempt at making Buck upset did not go as planned. They actually ended up helping him hit the ball, and the second, and the third, so things are not going how they hoped. But we do see Poindexter in the cutest cheerleading outfit, trying to distract the team, and it is definitely working. He is absolutely slaying, and he should join the cheerleading team next semester. Now, as much as Shining Armor and his friends are trying to upset Buck, nothing seems to be working. They're just making him better. But Gaffer has one more idea. an exploding mallet. They switch it out with Buck's mallet during a timeout. However, this ends up backfiring too and just helps Buck win. But Shining Armor is determined. Even if Buck won, he can still get to Cadance first. Short intermission, so I ended up losing the video file for the second half of this video, so I'm re-recording it now on a different day, so hopefully everything goes smoothly now. But anyways, Shining Armor is still determined to get to Cadance first. He makes his way up to her, but Buck is already there asking Cadance if she wants to go to the dance with him. Her friends answer for her yes, which is honestly so annoying to me. She doesn't have to go with him if she doesn't want to, and she should be able to be the one answering since he's literally asking her. She goes on to agree with their point that yeah, it's true no ponies asked her yet, but there was one pony that she was hoping that would. She trails off, but Buck interjects, boasting,
Oh, yes, I was the one we were waiting for.
She tries to refute this, but Buck doesn't want to hear it and just insists that he'll pick her up at 8. Her friends say how lucky Cadance is, but Cadance is not happy about the situation at all. We see Shining Armor's heart break as he walks home in the rain. No wedding day smiles, no walk down the aisle, no flowers, no wedding dress. We then cut back to present day, and we hear Pinkie exclaim that this can't be how it ends, they're married now. Cadance gives Shiny a kiss on the cheek, remarking that that's not how it ends, but it's not quite how it began either. She doesn't remember the polo game being quite that interesting, and Shining Armor admits he may have embellished a bit for the sake of the storytelling. She tries to go on and correct him more, asking about the exploding polo mallet. She asks, weren't there fireworks planned after the game already? And didn't his mallet just break? Shining Armor declares it's just nuance, and Rarity requests more details, of course. Fluttershy asks if Shining Armor swooped in and stole Cadance away. Was it romantic? Before Rainbow Dash cuts in, you mean mushy. Before Cadance tells them about the fall formal, she declares, let's refill our drinks and order another round of cakes. At least 42, might I add. Before we go to the next issue, we do get a cute little comic at the end of this one, where it's just Shining Armor and his friends playing a cute little O&O session, and of course, all of their outfits are slaying. I've always thought that playing D&D would be super fun, and honestly, a My Little Pony version would make it a million times better. On to issue 12 to continue their story. Cadance says that she really doesn't think that Shining Armor has the full story, and Twilight and her friends need something other than a stallion's perspective, which I am so excited to hear her perspective on how they got together. Shining jumps up and asks, what are you talking about? His version had intrigue, drama, unrequited love, and emotional suffering. Twilight jumps in, adding, and an exploding polo mallet. Pinkie is just interested in the part about the party, and Rainbow Dash declares them all geeks. But Cadance gets back to the story. She recaps everything so far. So Shining Armor's plan to win me over was to talk to me, get the attention of the school to become the fall formal king, and profess your love as we dance the night away. Shining Armor stands his ground that it's a good plan, but Cadance asks, is that really what happened? Shining admits that no it isn't, and Cadance tells him to let her finish the story. Applejack sternly asks if Cadance still went to the dance with that Buck Withers. Cadance reveals that she did, but she didn't leave with him. Rarity was freaking out, asking for more details, and honestly, I am too. At the same time, Fluttershy is asking if Shining Armor swept her off her wings, which I know she is thinking about Discord sweeping her off her wings. Side note, I'm working on a Fluttercord video, so be on the lookout for that. They are by far one of my favorite ships of all time. But anyways, Rarity asks if it was romantic, and Twilight asks if he was a complete dork. Cadance reveals it was all three, but that Twilight knows better than that. When Shining Armor is thanking Cadance for the defense though, she goes on to say that he's always a bit of a dork. But she goes on with the story, deciding to start back at the night that she full sat Twilight. But before she can continue, Shining Armor and Twilight are already in another argument. But regardless, Cadance goes on to continue the story with a very intrigued Rarity. It's revealed that Cadance thought the whole interaction and Shining Armor's sweet little hello was just adorable. And right when he leaves, Cadance asks Twilight to tell her all the relevant information on Shining Armor. And then they'll make cookies and have the best night ever. Twilight agrees to this, but then she realizes it's because Cadance likes him. She thinks it's cute and taunts her a little bit. Cadance admits this is the case and asks for Twilight's help. Twilight asks though if Cadance is ready to take extensive notes on his likes and dislikes, to create several competitive charts about her popularity versus his. Did she bring a label maker? Is her paper wide ruled or academy ruled? Cadance sternly declares that she has 37 colors of paper for her label maker. She always has an abacus with her just in case she needs to calculate percentages for a pie chart. And wide ruled paper is for foals. She is ready. Later on, after all that research they conclude that Shining Armor and Cadance are perfect for each other, and that Cadance is going to make Shining Armor her very special sun pony. Twilight concludes that after going through all the data, they will have a very happily ever after. But Cadance does ask Twilight to never tell Shining Armor about that night. Twilight swears that she won't, but Cadance asks for some extra precaution just to be sure. So she asks Twilight to take the full school playground oath to not tell, and they do a cute little variant of their sunshine, sunshine chant. It goes, sunshine, sunshine, ladybugs away, clap your hooves and bake a cake. If I lie and spill their beans, you can make me eat sardines. Now we see that Shining Armor really didn't know anything about that night until that present moment, because he starts exclaiming to Twilight that his life would have been so much easier if he had known. But Twilight just sticks her tongue out at him, reinforcing that the playground oath is an unbreakable vow. Even he should remember that. Pinkie does try to back Shining Armor up, but Cadance just continues right on with the story. We're back at the end of the parade, and we see Buck trying to play with Cadance's hair, but she tries to get him to stop by using the excuse that, oh, she just did her mane, she doesn't want it to get messed up. But he so proudly states that he knows the struggle. It takes him forever to get his feathering just right in his mane. He feels like Cadance really gets him, as Cadance lets out a big ol' sigh. As he's trying to say that he's going to make every goal at the polo match just for her. Right before Cadance's friends exclaim, who the hey is that? We see Cadance's heart literally beating out of her chest as she sees Shining Armor and his friends singing the special song that he wrote for her on the float.
I love pretty pink nails.
At the end of the performance, we see Shining Armor and Cadance looking at each other lovingly, but Buck has his inner monologue proclaiming that there's no way that little stunt worked.
I'm the only one going to be fall for Kane, Pinkie.
We see once again Buck and his friends calling Shining Armor and his friends geeks and laughing at them, causing everypony to join in. We see here though, Cadance speaking up to him, telling him that was so mean, but he tries to say that he was just having a laugh, and asks if Cadance is still coming to the polo match. But Cadance just lets out a little which honestly, this line really boils my beans, because it's always the people that say, oh, it's just a joke, or like, they just want to have a laugh, who are the biggest bullies. Back to Twilight and her friends. Fluttershy asks how Cadance could possibly go with him to the dance after all that, and we see Shining grumpily asking the same thing. But she was trying to explain that right before Buck asked her, she was going to try to find Shining Armor to ask him to the dance herself. We actually see Cheerly and one of her friends walking by, and they're talking about Shining Armor on his float, saying how they never noticed how cute he was, and wondering if he has a date for the dance. While they're talking, Cheerly's friend mentions that one of her brothers is apparently friends with Shining Armor, and thinks that she overheard them talking about some pony that Shining Armor likes, which we know is Cadance, who he's going to ask to the gala. Cheerly disappointingly says that she would have gone with him, but we see Cadance's heart break, visibly devastated at this news. We see once again Buck asking Cadance to the dance and her not really having the words to say no, even though she clearly doesn't want to go with him. She thinks to herself about the lists and charts that her and Twilight made, about how her and Shining Armor are perfect for each other, how he can't like some pony else. Later that night, Cadance and her friends, which the unicorn with a yellow coat and blue mane is named Lemony Gems, and the unicorn with a white coat and pink mane is named Diamond Rose. But they're hanging out with Cadance and telling her how lucky she is to be going to the dance with Buck. Cadance asks Lemony Gems, well, don't you think he's kind of mean? But she replies that her mom just tells her that any traits you don't like in a stallion you can just fix with constant nagging, which is crazy. Diamond Rose chimes in saying, how else do you deal with boys? They're impossible, but quickly asks if Cadance likes the dress that they picked out for her. Lemony then goes on to say something that I'm not personally the biggest fan of.
Do you think, like, on stallions, they should call them cutie marks? How about manly marks? Or macho marks? Or
girly pop, they can just be called cutie marks, it's okay. Cutie marks are for every pony, which I know is just like a little joke, but still. Anyways, Cadance goes on to reveal that she has a confession to make. She doesn't want to go to the formal with Buck. Her friends are so confused, but she tries to go on to explain that he's just not the one for her. Shining Armor is her pick for her very special sun pony. Her friends are so confused because Buck is just
So cute.
They go on telling Cadance that she's a beautiful princess. She can have any pony, but she wants to waste that fortune on Shining Armor. Diamond Rose starts to agree with Cadance that she can see how she could think that he was maybe a little bit cute, but still, she doesn't think he's Buck levels cute. and asks Cadance if she thinks that she should sleep on it. But Cadance stands her ground and says that it's him or no pony. They're going to live happily ever after together in a crystal palace. She can feel it. She reasons with her friends to look at it this way though. Since Buck is back on the market, her friends can have him, and they are elated. And of course now all in on this plan to get Cadance and Shining Armor together. We cut back to Shining Armor and his friends and we see the blue bed sheets, which I kind of get for Shining Armor because his mane is blue and it kind of matches, but still. I will say though, at least they're light blue and not like a navy blue, but also there is stuff laying all over his room. A spilled drink, some sort of dirty bowl, and his sheets are a mess. There's a cute little new Full Titans poster on his wall though, like the Teen Titans, which is cute. Anyways, they're trying to discuss the plan for the gala later that night. Gaffer explains that him and 8-Bit are going to be doing the distractions later at the dance. And for Poindexter, he's going to be out front with Shining Armor. He's confused as he doesn't have a date, but 8-Bit assures him that he does. He's still confused, but they go on. They're going to try to get Buck to reveal his true jerky colors to Cadance. And we're cutting back and forth between Cadance and her friends and Shining Armor and his friends now. Diamond Rose boasts to Cadance that this is the simplest plan in the world. All she has to do is dump Buck. Gaffer then explains that 8-Bit will swoop down from a rope on the rafters and poke Buck when he isn't looking, which will make him even more upset. Back to Cadance and her friends. Lemony tells Cadance that she should let Buck escort her into the dance, and then tell him that she's not interested. Cadance asks why she can't just send a note to him now though, and tell him that she doesn't want to go with him. Why should she wait? But Diamond Rose explains that this is a courtesy to her. She'll be at the dance waiting to console him, but Lemony jumps in saying that it could be her. She can console him just as well. But Diamond shakes off the comment and just says that while one of them is comforting Buck, then all Cadance has to do is walk up to Shining Armor and ask him to dance. But Cadance is a bit worried though. What if he's already at the dance with another pony like she overheard? But her friends are certain that no pony can hold a candle to Cadance. They remind her about her and Twilight's research, how she's a perfect match for Shining Armor. Back to Shining Armor and his friends. Shining continues that after it's discovered by Buck that 8-Bit is in charge of the stick and Gaffer is in charge of the itching powder and whoopee cushion, he'll take off after them. So this will leave Shining Armor to dance with Cadance and ask her to be his very special sun pony. Poindexter is still very confused about what he's doing in the plan, but they just tell him that it will be revealed soon enough. They declare they're ready for the plan as they're already all dressed up. Apparently they still have 3 hours before they have to be at the dance. So they decide to play a quick round of Hocus Pocus, the get together. Now I just know Cadance and her friends are going to be getting ready together until the last minute, and I am so right. We see them exclaim that they only have 3 hours left and they need to hurry, squealing how they need a bobby pin, and one of them chipped their hoofacure.
Your life is over.
Which once again is so real. Finally though, we see Celestia greet Cadance, telling her how lovely she looks, and asking if she's looking forward to the gala. Cadance replies that she's not too excited, but she's hoping to change that. She reveals to Celestia that there's some pony else that she would rather be going to the gala with, but he'll be there tonight. Celestia advises her that it's important they fulfill their obligations. If she's agreed to go with some pony already, it's the right thing to go, be gracious, have fun, and then just leave the dance as friends. Which I get her reasoning, but Celestia, no. It is revealed that Celestia doesn't know Buck or his personality yet though, so her stance is more understandable here. A guard then comes in letting them know that Buck is there to escort Cadance to the dance. And Celestia excitedly replies that she would like to meet him. However, she gets cut off by Buck slamming the door into the guard. He boastfully greets them, asking Princess Celestia if he can just call her Celestia, declaring that they're practically family now that he's dating the fair Cadance.
No, he cannot call her just Celestia. If I have any say in it, he will refer to her as the princess she is.
He goes on to talk about how he could get used to living in Canterlot Castle. And after graduation, there will be wedding bells. I'm gagging so hard. He's as bad as Prince Blueblood. Side note, do you want a video on Prince Blueblood? Let me know. But we get the absolute best Celestia panel. Her expression is priceless, and she has definitely come to her senses. After Buck is almost to the door, telling Cadance that they should go so they won't be late for their first public appearance. As Canterlot's newest celebrity couple, Celestia whispers to Cadance in a hushed tone though to ditch him the first chance she gets. We're back with Shining Armor at his house the night of the gala. His mom is babying him a bit, cooing. Twilight tells Shining Armor though that she overheard some of what he was planning to try to get Cadance to be his very special sun pony, and she wishes him good luck. Cadance is great and she's sure that she likes Shining Armor too. He gives Twilight a big hug thanking her and reveals that he's a bit nervous, so any insider information would be great. But Twilight just says she's sure he could. We're back at the formal now and Cadance looks so pretty. She's prancing in with Buck's hoof over her shoulder. He's spewing randomness about how this summer his mummy dearest would love to have Cadance come out to their air balloon. She was thrilled when she found out they were going to the dance together, but Cadance is not amused in the slightest. And a few cute details on this panel. We see Cheerly and Mare in their 80s style, which is adorable. They're discussing how they both took aptitude tests, revealing that Cheerly should be a teacher and Mare should be a politician. But they're both saying there's no way that would ever happen, which we all know that definitely did happen. But there's also a little sign on the side that points out that DJ 33 and a third LP is going to be the DJ for the dance. Next panel we see Shining Armor and Poindexter, once again dressed up in the prettiest outfit. What an absolute icon, eating everyone up. Buck asks if that's Poindexter in a dress, or does he have a sister? But Cadance in her monologues and realizes that it is Poindexter, so she's in the clear. But she just tells Buck that she looks lovely, which is so sweet. We love Cadance. Buck brushes off the situation though and goes on to talk about how his daddy will want Cadance over for a tour of his trophy room, but luckily Cadance cuts him off and tells him to listen. He replies, "Yes, Pookie," which this comic was written a while ago, so I'm surprised that they used that. That's way before Pookie caught on. But she tells him it was nice of him to bring her to the gala, but she has to be honest with him. To let him down easy, she tells him that she doesn't deserve a guy like him, and let's just be friends. With that, she gives Buck a pat on the head and walks away, leaving Buck shocked. Just as planned, Cadance's friends go up to console him, but Buck realizes what's going on and gets a flashback of all the times that Cadance and Shining Armor had together. He's fuming that nerd is going to get a piece of his mind and a hoof through his face. Cadance's friends realize that he is not taking this well, so they decide to go see if any of the steeplechase team want to dance instead. Shining Armor's friends are backing him up as planned though, with 8-Bit poking him with a stick from above. Cadance coolly goes up to Shining Armor, greeting him, but all Shining Armor can muster is a Cadance smiled, saying that she thinks by the end of the night they'll be able to work Shining Armor up all the way to coherent sentences. Shining Armor agrees, but Buck begins approaching them, demanding to talk to Cadance. However, before he can get there, Gaffer sprinkles him with some itch powder, and 8-Bit pokes him again. Cadance compliments Poindexter about the lovely dress, which Poindexter is still confused about the whole plan, and once again the whole polo team is eating Poindexter's look up. Shining reveals it's because he never gave Gaffer back his replica Batolith sword after Nightmare Night last year, and he holds a grudge, so he can consider himself punished. But Poindexter states that he still feels pretty, and no pony can take that away from him, which is so slay. Finally, Buck gets to Cadance and demands to speak with her. Cadance asks what in the world happened to him, and he fumes that Shining Armor's friends are what happened to him. Shining denies it, but gets cut off as the king and queen of the formal are being announced. With no surprise, the queen is Cadance. Shining tells her to go and get her crown, but as soon as she's gone, Buck taunts Shining Armor, telling him,
Do you think for 1 second I should have picked you over me? You're a dweeb. I'm Bob Withers, a star at this academy.
But he gets cut off as he's announced for Fall Formal King. But before he goes up on stage, he taunts Shining Armor even more.
You're not good enough for her, Shining Armor. You never will be. I'm the one who deserves a happily ever after, not you. And every pony in this ballroom thinks so. Ha.
The pony, who appears to be the principal of the school, awarding the king and queen, congratulates Buck sarcastically, followed by a "you arrogant little." But before she can finish, Buck wraps his hoof around Cadance and declares it's time for their dance. But some pony shouts from the crowd, "I don't think you're the one who deserves a happily ever after." Buck angrily shouts, "Who said that?" Shining Armor proudly states that he did, and his friends go to defend him, giving Shining Armor praises that he's a good pony, and Buck is nothing but a jerk. Buck yells that they're just Shining Armor's wussy friends and no pony else agrees with them. However, the rest of the ponies start coming to Shining's defense, saying all the wonderful things that Shining Armor has done for them, like volunteering to tutor one of them in math and walking one of their little brothers home from school. And then they go into all the awful things Buck has done to them, like stealing their lunch money throughout full school and shoving one pony in a locker for days. Buck just brushes it off though and says, "Who cares about being nice when you're
Great looking, rich, and good at sports."
In response to that, Cadance pops the crown off his head and says, "I do," with a cute little grin, and says that she wants nothing more than for Shining Armor to be her very special son pony, as she puts the crown on his head instead. Buck is shocked, trying to tell Cadance that he's Buck Withers, the polo captain.
He has amazing cheekbones.
Shining Armor sternly states that it's over, and for Buck to go back home, while Cadance is wrapped around him, which is the cutest thing ever. Buck tries to retort, saying that it's not over, and tries to tell Cadance to wait and just think about this. But before he finishes, Shining Armor puts Buck in one of the harnesses that 8-Bit was using to fly above Buck earlier, and he's flung high in the air so he can't bother any pony else that night. Buck shouts out from above to let him out of the contraption, and his father is a Congress pony. It even looks like in the next panel he literally gets electrocuted, which is honestly deserved. But now the focus is all on Cadance and Shining Armor, as she asks him how he feels about crystal palaces, and Shining Armor says, let's get through our first dance and then we'll talk palaces. Which is so cute. They finally kiss and we see a heart form near both their horns, which is so sweet and sort of reminiscent of how they helped save Canterlot in the season 2 finale. We're back to present day now, and Cadance declares that they lived happily ever after. But Shining Armor says that they should not be using the past tense when saying stuff like that, because of how ominous it sounds. He says they should use, we are living happily forevermore. And Twilight chimes in, we're living blissfully in the moment. And Shining's eyes go anime Lovestruck style, and he goes even further, suggesting,
existing in a state of perpetual happiness.
which is adorable. Fluttershy asks what happened to Buck. He couldn't have been as bad as Cadance and Shining Armor made him out to be. Luckily, Shining Armor says that he got better as they got older. He's nicer nowadays. And right then, the door to the tea cafe opens, and Buck and Lemony Jims walks in. Almost all the ponies are shocked and horrified, and that would be my exact reaction too. Buck pulls out a chair for Lemony, and he and Shining Armor share a wink, while Cadance and Lemony share a smile while rolling their eyes at them. Twilight is as surprised as I am. Before fully concluding the comic though, there is another little extra at the end like the previous issue. It's PTV, which is like MTV. We're finding out this week's top 10 song countdown. Let me know in the comments how many out of the 10 songs you get the references to. 10, Bits for Nothing. 9, Every Pony Wants to Rule the World. 8, Pony in the Mirror. 7, Hoof Loose. 6, Safety Prance. And now the top 5. 5, Let's Get Tangible by Olivia Newton-Jump. 4, Crop It by Derby. 3, Tack on Me by A. Halter. 2, Windbirds Cry by Prance. And 1, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rain Astley. I know I've said it before, but I really do love how the comics are able to get all these cute references in. Apparently later on they're even going to have a special presentation of Ponies Unplugged. But that fully concludes Cadance's and Shining Armor's love story. I know a lot of you have really been wanting me to cover this, so I'm so happy that I finally got the opportunity to, especially since Cadance is one of my favorite ponies of all time, and her and Shining Armor's love story is just adorable. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know of any other My Little Pony videos or anything else you'd like to see from me in the comments. If you would like to become a part of the Faefolk too, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And always remember, I lovely you.
And every pony who made it this far in the video will live happily ever after in a crystal palace. Most of friendship and of magic. It will always last forever. Every pony wants to rule the world. Woo! Thank you